Welcome back to Beyond the Stats. We just finished Jazz versus Nuggets. Closer game than I thought it was going to be.
Coming in, I wasn't sure what sort of a metric was going to measure success because the Nuggets have been beating the crap out of everybody.
Yeah, they just destroyed the Thunder last night.
And we just came off of a performance that looked like hot garbage.
That's uh, that's like putting it nicely.
Hot, steamy garbage. Anyway, so coming in, I wasn't sure what was going to be success, what was going to be, how are we going to measure that? I was happy with a lot of the fight. I really liked how we're getting some of the glimpses of our bigs working together and the movement.
Yeah, we had. I mean, there's a stat that they named right during the game that at one point 43 of our last 45 points had been scored by all of our four bigs. So Olynyk, Kessler, Markkanen, and Collins. That's which that's pretty extreme, but that's kind of what we're looking for with this
We
team.
kind of felt when the John Collins trade happened,
Uh-huh.
we kind of felt like John Collins is going to find himself, right? He's going to feel a little bit rejuvenated being out from under the oppressive Trae Young regime. And we felt like we'd be able to flex on some teams this way.
Right.
Um, you know, Jokic is not a good defensive center. He's amazing offensively, but not a good defensive center.
And
Um,
and they kept putting him on Collins, and Collins was just attacking him.
Loved it, going right at him, jumping over him, showing off some of his post game. That was I really like to see the way that we were flexing there and see Kessler playing with a little bit of life finally.
Yeah, he up until now has been bad, really bad, and no confidence. He seriously looks like he has up until this point looked like a wide eyed rookie.
Not just going off the stats, the body language says so much.
Uh huh.
It's kind of like a scared little boy out there that needs to refine himself and
Seriously, I
it's
want to know how much of that crap came from going and playing with the U.S. team and with Steve Kerr coaching and some of the players.
I have questions, y'all. I have questions. What's gone on there? What's happened? Is this something that he rebounds from and can regain some of his glory or bounce even farther? We'll see. But I have questions.
Yeah, so it was good to see him come out and have a much better game. Markkanen, second half looked dominant.
He looked fast,
Looked
man.
so dominant, but why do we have to wait to this? Why do we have to wait to the second half to get him any sort of good look in
It's
any sort of good position with the ball?
it's a real question. For how dominant he is. There are times that we get him the ball and he's a little bit soft if he's kind of in a post situation or something like that. There are some issues with his game,
Yeah,
but overall, we are not getting him the ball enough. He's looked consistently good every game that we've had so far. His numbers showed it. We once again won the rebounding battle, like we have I think almost every game.
yeah, and I don't know the Suns game, but I know the first two we did, and that's something we really struggled with last year. Collins has come in and become our best rebounder, and his activity on the boards has helped a lot. Another player who you don't really see the stats a lot on, but Agbaji's improvement at crashing boards and keeping plays alive and boards alive, not necessarily getting the board, but keeping it alive, that's helping as well on his minutes on the court.
And it's one of the consistent things that he's been able to hold on from last year because his role and his minutes have gone away.
Yeah.
And he's another player who's kind of searching for what is my role on this team? How am I impactful? And it's a shame that we're just relying on a little bit of urgency right now. And because of it, the shots off, it's really not hitting.
Yeah, he and part of that could is that partially from the inconsistency of his minutes and what they're asking him to do. I don't know, but one thing that's been consistent as well is his defense. He's consistently putting pressure on the guy that he's guarding, which is frustrating to watch him only play 15 minutes when we suck at
When
defensively
down the
at the
stretch,
guards.
we can't get stops.
No, not at all.
We cannot get stops. We're horrible as far as being able to put any pressure on teams down the stretch of a game. And it's almost like we have to make incredible shots offensively to make up for that, kind of like in the Clippers game,
Right.
for us to be able to have wins. So it's frustrating. in tonight, the offensive numbers for Tucker were about as good as they can get as far as for what he offers.
Yeah.
Even though it comes with, a whole, ton of turnovers and really just doesn't let the game get into a flow. That is the A game that he offers.
And that's the biggest problem with Tucker is it is just pound my dribble until something maybe works out or I throw up some garbage shot. Like that's kind of what we get.
And tonight was one of those nights where a few of them went in.
Right.
A normal night they don't.
Right. And that's the thing is he took the same drive and throw it up at the rim shots. They just kind of fell this time.
Yeah. Pound the dribble, try and go into the key, kind of hit a roadblock, kind of stumble, turn around, fumble out to the 3-point line, hoist.
Yes.
That's a Tucker possession that we get every once in a while.
And it shows with him and Clarkson, with our starting lineup. Every single game, we have started slow. Markkanen has started slow. Collins has started slow.
True.
That comes from your guard play. That comes from them getting the ball in the right position. It comes from a flow on the offense. And that's another thing with Agbaji, right? When he's out there, there was a play where it was just kind of a catch rebound flick to Markkanen on the run, playing in a flow with the guys around him. Keontae George has done that great. We finally got to see one play of a kind of pick and roll with Collins, and it immediately turned into an alley-oop dunk.
It's such a huge thing when you're playing at a high level as far as being able to create the space, hit your teammate with the ball in the correct place, in the correct timing, in the correct weight to be able to allow them to have their maximum window. It's nothing that will ever show up on a stat, but it's something that Keontae does effortlessly.
Yeah.
And it really doesn't happen with Clarkson or Horton Tucker or Sexton. None of them are that type of a player.
No, and the biggest problem, too, is we're starting with these two guards who really just don't know how to play defense. They don't. Tucker's big thing last year was that he's a good, strong defender. If you truly watch the game, he is constantly jumping and lunging at awkward times.
I don't remember him doing that last year.
I don't either. That's what's so weird. And it puts him behind the play. And so now we're kind of scrambling. And then if you set any sort of screen,
we are so bad around
any sort of screen on Clarkson or Tucker, it is freaking 10 feet of space that easily.
It's bad. It's bad as far as our ability to chase around screens. And I'll say that even though tonight Keontae George didn't have the offensive numbers, like not an impressive line, the amount of fight out of that young man,
dude,
around screens and playing defense was fantastic to see.
There was like one lapse, right? There was one play where it was like, damn,
missed the shot and he gambled, tried to come up,
and then he just lazily stood there. But you take that away, how many one-on-ones did he have with Jamal Murray where he beats him to the spot, shifty back and forth, fights through a screen, makes an uncomfortable shot for Jamal Murray?
Yeah.
Over and over again.
Even when Murray makes them, that's okay. His defense was excellent.
Yes. Yeah. This was not a game I thought, at least this season, we'd ever see that he kind of struggles offensively, but makes up for it defensively. Didn't think we'd ever see that in his first season.
And that's, man, I made this argument with you at the beginning of the year that you could make the argument that Keontae George is on a progression to become a Jordan Clarkson type player.
Yeah.
Right? Of offensively skilled, has some incredible swagger and moxie and makes some shots and does some great things, but defensive lapses, kind of more of a liability out on the court. He is putting in the work right now to dispel that argument.
Yeah.
And that's great. I couldn't be happier about it because we know what he can do offensively and what he is progressing towards on the offensive side of the ball.
Well, and that's the thing is even on that side of the ball,
and he has the playmaking, and now he'll work on the defense to go with it. That makes him a fantastic player and a player that is impactful through playoff scenarios.
Yes.
Which is what, as a team, if we're going to progress, that's what we have to find, right? We have to find players that are, I think we have a handful of role players in playoff scenarios that are strong, that are good. But we've got to find offensively impactful players that also aren't a liability on the court in the playoffs, and that's what he's progressing towards. And that, I could be happier. That is fantastic.
Yeah, he has been a pleasant surprise all the way from summer league to start of the season, and just needs more minutes.
Yeah, needs to start, one would say.
Yes, and that's the thing is a game like this, you're okay with losing with Keontae George getting 30 minutes, 32 minutes, 33 minutes, right? Because it's a game you stay competitive in, but Keontae George is getting a lot of growth in.
Yeah, and it would be great to see him. I know that Tucker made some shots down the stretch here, but it would have been great to see Keontae George close in a game like this when it comes down to possession by possession.
Yeah,
and that's when you can really measure. That's when the big boys play. That's when the fire's hot.
right.
One thing I want to bring up as well is I am kind of dying inside on some of these lineups that we run during the games. We
ran Clarkson at the 3.
Yeah. 2 different times
against Michael Porter Jr. It's not like when they brought in like Christian Brown,
yeah,
and we played him at the 3 next against him.
We didn't match up Peyton Watson.
No,
yeah.
We freaking played Clarkson against Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah,
on the at 3.
And we had Olynyk out there, so we had basically the 3 guards, Clarkson playing our 3, and Olynyk out there. Olynyk does some great things for playmaking, but man, he is it's rough defensively.
You need good defensive players on the court when he's on the court.
He has to be covered somehow. And so some of these lineups are they're just baffled.
Asking to lose.
I'm baffled. I'm surprised that the lead didn't extend out a lot farther when they were out there today, Maybe that's a sign of, gosh, maybe they are okay. I don't know, man. I'm baffled by some of these lineups that we're running out there. I don't think they're offensively strong enough to exert our will, right, and overcome some defensive liability. It's not one of those things.
Right. Well, because like that lineup, for example, you're either asking Clarkson to score, who was really bad tonight scoring the ball. You're asking Keontae to score, who can, but he's still a young rookie, still trying to figure it out. Or you're asking Sexton to score, who has decided this season that he doesn't know how to pass the basketball.
He's gone back to getting his a little bit more. It's obvious. Yeah.
So yeah, and we really didn't score with those lineups. We just kind of got away with some open looks being missed by the Nuggets.
Overall, and it'll be interesting to see what our numbers are once we're 10, 15, 20 games into the season, but it's pretty obvious we're quite inefficient on offense, and we make up for it by a lot of hustle to the boards. Second chance points.
Yeah. I'm begging we see some trades. We just need to do something. Like we do. Are we even right now, with the lineups we're running and things like that, are we even a playoff competitive team?
No, we're a bottom 3 team in the West if we run with this lineup and we play these combinations out on the court through the rest of the season.
Yep.
We're a bottom 3 in the West.
Which is not what this season was supposed to be.
No, and I'm okay with, there's some people saying, we were going to have a 28 win season or something like that. And I'm okay if we have a 28 win season if we're playing our youngsters and lineups and building towards something in the future.
Yeah.
Don't sit there and tell me Talen-Horton Tucker's a youngster. He's on what year of his pro career now? Year number 5?
4. 3 or 4.
I know he's past 3.
So 4. It's his 4th season. And yeah, you're right. It's his 4th season. And that's the problem is everyone talks about, well, he's still super young. He's given the exact same numbers every season. There has been no growth. It's the exact same player.
I'll even add more. His 1 year at Iowa State.
Yeah.
Same types of numbers. He averaged around 10 points a game, a lot of bull in a china shop, hustle bustle kind of guy. And I dare say if you go back to his high school, you'd probably see a lot of the same when I think he was a Simeon kid actually out of Chicago. But it's, don't tell me that we're, waiting to see what Talen-Horton Tucker's going to do. It's not a Markkanen situation. Markkanen was super skilled in college, coming out into the pros and had flashes you could see. You don't see that with Talen-Horton Tucker. And so if we were to go with this lineup the rest of the year, better put some extra hard screen cover on the TV. There might be some projectiles.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
That would be rough.
Yeah, and here's the one thing I'm hoping for, right, is I believe Danny Ainge to be able to put together really good trade packages at the right time and stuff like that. So I kind of expected the first 10 to 15 games to really kind of be this just painstaking process of, oh my gosh, can we make some trades? Now, if we do make those trades 10, 15 games in, 20 games in, cool.
And it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. But if not, then we're just on right back on the Dennis Lindsay path of mediocrity.
I don't know how to express myself in this moment. I want to say things.
And that's something we're not supposed to be okay with this new owner group, with these new with Justin Zanuck, with Danny Ainge, Ryan Smith, Will Hardy. That's something we're not supposed to be okay with. So as fans, we shouldn't be okay with it.
Right. And I fully believe that they're going to do what's best for the team and move it forward that way. I think that they've acted that way outside of not trading Jordan Clarkson last year at the trade deadline when it should have been.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think that was meddling by the owner. That's my feeling on that.
Yeah.
And I could be wrong, but that's just kind of the feeling I got coming out of it. So other than that, I think that everything's been handled professionally and aiming for a championship. So we'll see where it goes.
And we're starting to see some of those pieces as they come together. Like you said, the bigs and stuff like that. We're starting to see those things. It's now let's not sit on things. Let's start to put things together. Let's start to really build this where we need to.
When are those super painful trades and decisions going to happen? Right? I think is it Ainge that's mentioned that and kind of coined it that way of to get to a place of being in the fight for a championship, you have to make some difficult decisions. You have to make some tough trades.
Yeah.
And what are those? Are they coming up soon? Are they on the horizon? We'll see.
Yeah. But we appreciate you guys leaving the comments. There was actually somebody who commented, we both completely missed Chris Dunn fouled out. And that was why he got pulled out of the game, which made a whole lot more sense.
Against the Clippers.
Yeah, in the Clippers game. A whole lot more sense in the discussion between Jason Terry and him after, of kind of more of a breakdown of, you were one foul away, what did you see, or things like that, right? It makes way more sense at that point. So we appreciate you guys commenting, leaving those comments and things that maybe we're not seeing, and having those discussions with you guys back and forth has been super fun. So continue to do that.
Yep, and we're cool if you call us an idiot. It would just be like me and Cole talking to each other anyways.
Yeah, and nothing new.
What an idiot.
Nothing new. All right, we got a doubleheader coming up after this. So Wednesday, Thursday, back to back. So we'll see you guys then. Thanks, guys.